This story began when Amir, John, and Abdul were moved to a new office. They worked for a shipping company handling inter-island deliveries. But this new office wasn't just a building. It stood tall and proud at the edge of the sea, only 200 meters from the dock. It used to be a Dutch merchant's private villa. Now, it was their operational base. Surrounded by ocean and mangrove forest, no houses nearby, only the sound of crashing waves echoing even inside the rooms. At first glance, it felt peaceful, but from the very first day, I smelled something strange. Thin, unfamiliar, sharp. No one could tell where it came from. Everyone noticed, but no one said a word. That night, heavy rain fell. The roads flooded. They had no choice but to stay the night. They cooked, loved, played games. For a moment, that old building felt warm. But as the night grew older, the warmth disappeared. The sound of rain grew too loud. Knocks echoed on the walls, and footsteps in the hallway. But no one was there. Just whispers in a language none of them understood, like someone was standing right behind them. The next morning, John was asked to move the old printer to the back room. That room was small and silent. His footsteps echoed on the wooden floor. Then suddenly, he stopped, breathing short. His face went pale, and eyes was blank. With a trembling voice, he said, "Someone's there, something's there." A tall figure, standing at the end of the hallway, too tall to be human, unmoving, but watching. John couldn't move. His hands shook. And slowly, the figure walked toward him, its body covered in blood and eyes black, with a smile slowly creeping across its face. John wanted to scream, but he couldn't. He just cried, in silence. Days later, Amir came in early. He sat alone, humming a children's song. Then suddenly, he screamed. His friends realized this wasn't just work stress. There was something there, something hiding in that place, and now it was starting to show its true face. They started digging, old archives, yellowed newspapers. Searching for the history of that building, they discovered it was once used for secret interrogations during the occupation. Not all who entered ever came out. Locals knew, but chose to stay silent. Amir interviewed an old retired worker. The man warned them, "Don't disturb what's sleeping." They also spoke to villagers. Some remembered strange things from the past. The supernatural events they experienced were not coincidences. They were all connected to old wounds. A buried tragedy that was never truly laid to rest. They understood now. This wasn't just a haunted office. It was about restless souls. And until the truth was fully revealed, that building would never be at peace. One night, after work, Abdul realized he left his phone on his desk. He rushed back in. That was a mistake. Minutes passed. He didn't return. No reply to calls. No messages read. Worried, his friends went back to the office. But when they arrived, the building was empty. No sign of Abdul. They checked the CCTV, but it showed nothing. Abdul was never seen entering that night. Panic rose. They split up. Some searched the area, others called for help from HQ and nearby villages. Hours passed. Nothing. Then, a faint sound, Abdul's ringtone. It came from one of the back rooms, a room that had been locked for years. They broke it open and found Abdul, unconscious, as if dragged from a nightmare. When he woke up, he whispered. He said he felt like he was pulled into a space unseen. A woman's voice whispered from behind the wall. An elder from the village later told them, long ago, the land belonged to a woman they believed to be a witch. She lived alone, performed strange rituals in the backyard, buried things, summoned things, and one day she vanished, without a trace. Time passed. They knew they couldn't just wait and hope it would stop. They decided to fight back, not with anger, but with understanding. Amir called a spiritual expert, someone who understood the unseen. And you were simply too close. He suggested a cleansing ritual, not to challenge, but to respect, to understand. That night, they followed instructions, burned incense, said prayers from their own beliefs, left white flowers at the heavy energy points. But instead of peace, that night became the worst of all. Shadows moved in every corner, crying from the attic. There was nothing more they could do. They understood. The building didn't want them there, and it would never let them live in peace. Rain poured again without warning. They were trapped, and in the middle of chaos, they all prayed, together, not to one belief, but to something greater. And finally, morning came. The presents faded. The air turned calm. No goodbyes and farewell. They left the building, not out of fear, but because they chose life. And until today, the building still stands, empty, but never truly silent.